It's power time. Get ready, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to Power Time. We're joined with a very special guest today, Mr. Bert Wijns, who is a friend of the podcast, has been on the podcast before, maybe in one of our really early episodes where I think, if I recall, Matt, yes, the first episode. And it was the one, I think, Matt, that you forgot to hit record on Teams and we did the whole podcast and we had to redo it again. Does the memory serve me correctly there? Was that your fail?
I know what you're talking about, mate. So, yeah, I know. And then I had to, no, I did hit record, but I hit transcribe only, I remember. So there's this beautiful transcription of everything that we talked about. In the age of AI, we could have input that into AI and filmed the podcast that way, but we weren't just there yet in AI. But yeah, Bert was our first podcast guest, and thanks for coming along again, Bert. So for those who haven't listened to our first time, which is probably no one because everyone's an avid listener to the podcast, do you want to kind of introduce yourself and kind of what your role is at Microsoft?
Yeah, no, all good. And I do remember that time when you made it's a user error. I mean, AI can do a lot of things, but it can't solve you, Matt. Still a problem.
This isn't a therapy session, by the
way. No one's ready for Matt AI yet. We've said that,
yeah. I'll quickly introduce myself. Bert Wijns. I'm a global business architect at Microsoft. So I work with customers across the globe around how do we blend AI across all of our AI platforms. So across Azure, modern work, and business applications, and how do we take a customer point of view on what do they really need to land AI in their organization versus the sometimes siloed product view, which we sometimes take as well.
So the topic of today is all about AI and governance. We might get into a little bit of that in a bit of time, but this week I must say I've been really busy building agents, and no one will be surprised on this podcast to know that I've been building agents to do crypto trading, which is a great use case, right?
Us golds not to do this, by the way. Yeah, this is us sending this thing. So yeah, I'm to blame, Gina. I'm to blame if all your money gets lost on this crypto agent bot. So yeah, blame me.
So and it's been a journey, right? Like it's been really interesting, kind of just experiencing different platforms, including the Power Platform, on how to do this. And I must say, I was really impressed with how capable agents are. And, we called on the predictions episode, Matt, that this is the year of the agent. It definitely is the year of the agent. We've got new agents releasing at Microsoft over the next couple of months, which are really, really good around the sales and customer service space. I think there's about 16 to 20 in total this year. So that's super exciting. And what I was really amazed about was the ability to be able to create an agent in natural language and have it kind of just do what you need to. And then if I had to go to code with custom connectors and things, I could put the JSON into Copilot or ChatGPT and then just kind of create it and bring it back. So I had this kind of coding going on between myself and AI to get things right. And it was actually really capable. I will say that I think with the hallucinations and stuff that are going on, it's probably 80%, 90% of the way there, but really looking forward to the final kind of AGI in the next couple of years and what we're going to be able to do. And the reason we thought we should talk about governance today is because, Matt, you and I have spoken a lot about this. What does a world look like where you've got, forget power apps, you've got autonomous agents running in your enterprise, and the people that created those have now moved on to other organizations, and the natural language says, go and do this, or go and read this, and then come back with this. And another version of AI gets released, so an LLM, a new one, and it's super smarter than the last one. And all of a sudden you've got agents out of control and you don't know what to do with them. And we've kind of spoken about it's the year of the platform. So you want to make sure this year that you standardize on a platform that you're going to run agents on, and you really talk about governance. So I think this is a really timely kind of podcast to really talk about that. And Matt, you must be seeing that in your new venture with Get AI as well with customers, yeah?
Yeah, so all we're seeing at the moment is agents. There's a lot of interest with a variety of agents onboarding when it comes to even like reviewing PDFs and providing outputs and spelling mistakes before they get published into certain websites that are publicly facing for publicly listed customers and all of that kind of stuff. So there are a lot of cool different scenarios. And I think I agreed that if you don't empower your workforce to build agents, they're going to start pushing them into public LLMs and stuff like that. And Bert, we had this conversation, I think, a couple of weeks ago when we caught up. Yeah, that you actually have to enable your workforce in a safe and secure environment. Otherwise, you're going to get that shadow AI almost is that kind of new terminology. But interested to see if, Bert, you've actually built any agents. I know you're a bit of a curious soul when it comes to this kind of stuff. What have you seen, or what have you built yourself, or what's kind of the coolest agent you've seen? And you don't have to reference the customer itself, but maybe the scenario would be pretty cool to share with our listeners.
I got a couple of cool stories, I think, and scenarios. And it's not always, I wouldn't classify them as agents, but it's how you can use AI and LLMs actually to upskill yourself. I mean, Scott, I heard you say CryptoPod. I've built a CryptoPod. I've been down that road. Spent a lot of time, and I kind of tried it and realized it's not as easy to make money of it. So let's think on that one as well. I can share my experience.
Ask me in 2 weeks. Ask me in 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. A cool story, and it's not as much as agents, but it's actually how LLMs and generative AI can change the entire world. If I look at myself, like a year ago, I saw it, I tried it, I'm like, well, this is pretty cool, and you use it like once a month or twice a month. I think if I look at it right now, I use it like almost every hour, and there's stupid things like a couple of weeks ago, I actually fixed the door at my house using generative AI.
This is the LinkedIn post, infamous LinkedIn post. It went viral. Yeah.
So we have this door for the hallway going into the living room, and the wife has been, I can use nagging, the word nagging, right, on the podcast. She's not going to listen.
She doesn't listen. Yep.
I'm Mrs. Vins, I'm going to share it with you straight away after this. Say, bro, you caught red-handed, all right?
Yeah. So, she'd been, asking me to fix it for quite a while, actually. And I'm not a handy person. Like, I am good with editing computers and programming, but then, fixing real things in the house is not my strength. So at some point, it was almost Valentine's Day, or it was Valentine's Day, and I figured, like, maybe let me have an attempt at this. And I get out the toolbox from the closet, I walk to the door, I spend like half an hour, like, doing nothing, getting scratches on the door. And then I realized, maybe I can use OpenAI for this, for Copilot. And I took a picture of the door, created a small prompt, like, hey, this is the brand of the door, this is the problem, it was dragging over the floor. What do I do? And it's like, okay, you got the screws on the side of the door, you remove these things from there, and then you turn 3 times clockwise with a small thing. So I take the thing out of the toolbox, I do that, I test the door, and poof, it works. So it's like 3 months of nagging, see I'm saying it again, actually was resolved in 5 minutes of generative AI use. And I had a good Valentine's Day. It was a really good present for them. And it's a simple and stupid example in a way, how we can really change things. This is an example of me using it for chores in the house. But I think out there are so many people doing repetitive work out there in companies, which we can fully change what they do at work and make them focus on more important tasks. So I think the potential is really, really big, and I use it almost every hour these days.
My two favorite, I have a different favorite use case every week, right? So last week, my favorite use case for OpenAI was I'm keen at some point to buy either a Tesla or a BYD, and I love comparisons in ChatGPT, right? It's so good at it, right? So it's like, compare the BYD model, this model, with the Tesla model, and it just gives you it just goes through everything, right? Like, very detailed. So comparisons are great. Whatever you're going to buy, I use it. Also, we're looking at a new fridge, compare these 3 models of this fridge, and it will go away and come back and just give you a full kind of benchmark on both and a really honest conclusion. I thought it's great for that. And one of the other use cases I love about it is I've got to lay some turf in the backyard, and it's great to put in the sizes of what you need and go, how much turf do I need? So as long as it doesn't hallucinate, it's normally pretty good. So sometimes you've got to check it a couple of times, but great use cases. Yeah. I'm almost at the point, I'd say, with AI now, that it'd be very difficult to kind of go back to a world where we didn't have it now. I think that's we've kind of stepped over now that line, right? Yeah. It'd
I
be
was wondering
like,
why Bert's been more intelligent lately, but now I know he's been using Copilot or AI the whole time, and he's been replying to me. So I mean,
the
very
emails.
impressed with your.
I would build an agent straight away to respond to every email from Matt, just so when it hits your inbox, it just comes back with a
Easy.
very personalized default email. So yeah.
You also use AI for the car scenario. Maybe there's something you can share. Remember you were reviewing the engine parts or something for that car, Scott? I think you were alluding it to the other week on one of the other episodes.
Yeah, that was also one of my favorite use cases. Is I'm building or restoring an old RX-7, and it comes with an old rotary engine, which is 40 years old now. And there just isn't a lot of people, other than a small group of people on Facebook groups, that really know what they're doing. And I was trying to decide on different carburetor, fuel injection and different manifolds and things like that. And it's great now. You can just put in what you want to put on the engine, and it'll tell you, how much horsepower to produce and what the recommendations are based on that combination of parts, which is another fantastic use case. I think that kind of the limit there is endless, right? But one thing that we really drilled into in the last couple of weeks is if agents are so good, particularly autonomous agents, right? Like the use case we're talking about is just good prompting, but an autonomous agent, if they're really as good as what they are right now, there is a lot of business processes in the enterprise that are going to get automated in the next couple of years, right? Which is really going to, so we're starting to get customers go to us now. Let's just do a full process review and really look at what we can use this technology for. So amazing technology, right? That's, I think, stepping into this, a big opportunity. It's kind of like where Power Apps was 2-3 years ago, right? Now we wouldn't be able to.
It's on a similar path and similar trajectory and similar conversations from security and IT and all these kind of different business units within IT. So I'm getting asked very, very similar questions. Yeah, how do we manage, citizen development or AI development, environment strategies, connectors, all of these types of things when it comes to CPS. So we'll touch on this a bit later on, because I know you've been working on some cool stuff back at Microsoft, but governance in general, like what are you kind of hearing globally? What are some of the conversations that you've been having with sort of large scale enterprise in your sort of global role?
Yeah, I think what you see is we see a pattern in a lot of enterprise customers. Like they've started with some early AI experiments around IoT, digital twins, and all of that in the Azure or custom built world. And then at some point, Gen AI came out, and a lot of these experiments moved then into that direction, but still seeing them being custom built, as there weren't any off-the-shelf solutions available, which were GA doing this. And then we then have Copilot Studio, also the other big software companies releasing similar things. You all saw this accelerate, and a lot of customers were moving IT budgets from traditional workloads into AI because they were seeing the potential. But at the same time, you get into a mode where we now see customers having 10, 15 Copilot products with 50, 60, 70 agents. And a lot of IT departments are now hitting that pause or stop button, like, hey, what's happening here? How do we stay in control of this? And also, like, a lot of these AI products are moving to consumption models where people create their own agents, and that introduces that AI citizen development piece where employees can create their own agents. And that's almost like the next accelerator of this entire AI thing, where now it's an IT-driven thing, but it's just like our platform. Like if you can enable employees to become AI citizen developers and mature them, you can go from 50 agents to 1,000 agents, 5,000 agents. And yes, some of those will never add any value, but it's all, some of them will be really great ideas. And if you zoom in on them and scale them, you can make them all quite initiative. So a lot of customers are really wondering two things. How do I control it because of the wildfire of agents and Copilot? And then the second big question is, how do I scale it? And those two questions and topics is something at Microsoft we're now running a big program on. How can we take a customer point of view and help them to achieve those two things and keep them in balance, right? Because at the one side you got scale and the other one side you got control. Usually customers, a lot of enterprise customers are just going for control right now and shut it all down. But like Matt said in the beginning, what you then get is, employees aren't stupid. They see these public AI tools. So what they're doing is they're copying PAI data into public LLM models, and what you get is even worse. Then if you don't give that controlled environment where they can innovate, they'll do it anyways in an environment where you don't want them to do it, and they'll take company data and do it there anyway.
So many synergies, isn't it, to power back in the day, right? Like same concerns. It's amazing. Yeah.
But I think there's a bigger risk now of sprawl with agents than it is with Power Apps before, because like you say, Scott, we can build an agent with natural language so easily now, and it's available within 365. It's Copilot. It's available in all these channels. Microsoft really infusing agents into all of their products and the ability to create agents. So I think there's more risk of agent sprawl than there ever was when it came to Power Platform or Power App sprawl. So I think governance is really going to be key, and something that a lot of organizations will need to kind of get on the front foot with now and really start thinking about and considering that before it does get not out of control, but there might be some risks associated with that. So I think it's going to be a big topic that we're going to hear a lot soon, and a topic that is coming up a lot with different conversations when it comes to that. So when it comes to that, Bert, how do we mitigate that risk of sort of agent sprawl? What are sort of things that you've been working on behind the scenes at Microsoft when it comes to that?
Yeah, we're like you say, the risk of this happening is bigger than ever before because everyone can do it. Even the IT departments are shutting a lot of it down right now. But at the same time, it's also a more difficult problem than what we had with Power Platform. With Power Platform, we had one product which we had to govern, create features around, and look at one source. And there was a couple of products in there, and sometimes we had to do a bit of magic to look at both of them. Now you can create agents with M365 Copilot extensibility, Copilot Studio, Azure AI, and then all of the other vendors. You can create agents as well. So what we put out there, and we'll look to release this somewhere end of March, is a framework with what we call the pillars or drivers of AI value, and then key governance topics. And those topics range from citizen development into how do you do environment management, how do you monitor what is happening. A lot of the similar topics which were out there back in the days with Power Platform, but then really across those AI solutions. So it doesn't go into depth, but it's more on level 50, level 100 topics and how do you control it, which then act as a guide to the product content. A big recommendation, because I'm talking to customers every other day on this topic right now. A big recommendation I give customers today is like what I just said around that shadow AI. Give them something where they can innovate, a safe sandbox environment, because if you don't, they will anyway. And then choose a preferred method. Like if you look at the Microsoft stack around AI products, and you have Copilot Studio, which is probably what we as Microsoft are putting out there as one of the main channels to create agents around SaaS products. And it's part of M365 Copilot. It can connect it to Azure AI Foundry, so it's the glue almost between them. It's also the product which has more maturity when it comes to governance, where you can control what is possible, which connectors can be used, data loss prevention. So I always recommend as well, pick a recommended channel where you allow people to do innovation and give them then a controlled environment to do that. And there you can run these kind of things like hackathons, promptathons. I heard another term these days, like an agent-a-thon, or like a new word. So they keep...
I'm stealing that. Agent-a-thon. No, I'm stealing that. Thank you.
Agent-a-thon. There we go. You heard it first. Or maybe second. I think...
I'll put a James Bond spin on it, like a 007-a-thon. We're building agents or something like that. Maybe I'll steal that one. So,
I think what customers are going to really care about is they've invested a whole bunch of money in a Power App COE. And we won in the regulated space. I would have to say categorically that Microsoft won in FSI when it comes to low code pretty much for internal applications due to the strong governance and controls we can put in. We very early in Australia got that through regulatory bodies like APRA and whatnot very quickly. as part of the Microsoft stack. And that COE was put in place, Center of Excellence for Power, to be able to offer these kind of guardrails to be able to control app sprawl through Power. And it's been really successful from what I can see anyway, and from talking to customers. How can we grab that investment that we've already got, and then extend that out to AI and agents effectively?
Yeah. Great question. And what we see at customers is a lot of enterprise customers have 5 or 10 existing COE teams around specific technology expertise. Like they're gonna have a team around an Azure landing zone. They're gonna have a team around potentially Power Platform, M365 and Teams, robotic process automation. So any enterprise customer has all of these, and they all exist a bit in silos in that organization. And when someone in the business says like, hey, I want an HR agent and it needs to do A, B, and C, they all go like, yes, I can do this. And getting the right guidance there, which I give customers, is you have to look at setting up a central AI structure into your company, which leads into all of these COE teams. Because if you don't, what will happen is they all will say, I'm the greatest AI solution ever, because you use what you know, right? I mean, I'm the same. A couple of years ago, if you'd asked me, I need to modernize this Excel sheet or Access database or Power Platform, because you use what you know really well. And you need to set up like that central intake process, which then provides guidance on what is the right AI solution to implement this. And I think, what we're preaching at Microsoft a lot is always start with a buy solution. Like if you can buy something, it's a traditional SaaS versus building thing. Start there. Then if you have requirements which go further than what it can do, you can extend it. And then all the way further, you can extend it into Azure AI. If you know upfront there's going to be something really specialized, you can go straight away to AI. But that decision tree is a really important one. And it's not just putting in place a PowerPoint with if it's this, do that. It's also changing the org structure, being an AI organization within a company so it aligns to it. Because if you just put in place a decision tree, I mean, people are going to look at it and still use what they know. So it's a lot bigger than that. A central AI department which has to be out there, and it's not only IT as well. Like it needs to link to the business, because if you're a business user, you all see AI. You're like, hey, I want this AI solution, and the traditional part is you go to IT, you fill in the form, they ask 10 difficult questions, they ask for money, and then they build something in 2 months, and it's not the right thing, and you do another iteration, and it takes, and it goes on and on and on. Also there, that citizen development of people being able to build something themselves and going to IT like, hey, I've built an agent and people are using it and it's working. And then IT can zoom in on that and expand that and scale that. Instead, it's all of those same patterns from back in Power Platform that popping up again. It's just that additional layer of complexity. And it's multiple products, multiple teams of expertise. So there's additional layers there.
It'll be interesting to see how we go, how more mature we get in this space. I mean, one of the things that really shocked me when I was building agents last week was the self-healing. So it would create a payload for the API, and it would send that to the system. And then if it didn't work, it would come back and go, look, that didn't work, and it would then change the payload and send it again until it got that kind of, the headers and everything correct. And I was shocked at that, right? So you imagine that in an enterprise context, someone in the business just creates an agent and it will just continually keep trying to do what you've asked it to do. Could maybe wreaking havoc, right? Like who knows what it's doing during that moment. But, I think having the guardrails around it's got to be right through the product, right? How are you authenticating? What data are you connecting to? What requests are you putting through? Are you stepping outside the boundaries of what you should be and things like this, particularly for big systems like SAP, Salesforce, Dynamics, stuff like this. So I think the Power Platform
organization needs to build an agent to query some of this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? You could actually ask all these questions to an agent to determine where you should be building this, what you should be doing within that organization. Yeah, it almost could be something like that at the front door because, like you say, but a lot of these principles are the same. There's always been a front door to request, what tool when it came to low code or other application stacks and all of this kind of stuff. It's almost the same thing. Like it's almost what technology when it comes to AI and agents. So yeah.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, even if you look at our product, like if you take Copilot Studio, we have a generative workstation feature. It uses AI, like you ask it something, and then it uses AI to see where it should go. Like a traditional chatbot is like a decision tree, question answer.
Yeah.
But now we use AI to go through the decision tree to see where it should go and look at all of the sources and can get the answer to the people. It's the same with that intake process. Like a lot of the center of excellence pieces in Power Platform were a bit more static, where you have an idea for an app, you fill in this form, you can actually, we're pitching to customers, you can create an agent which guides a business user with an idea into the right path. Like they have an idea, you translate it into ROI, you see, does that agent exist already somewhere else? You give them tools, templates, guidance on do they use Copilot Studio, do they extend this, you have Copilot, and then you point them to readiness resources, and suddenly you have matured their needs with like 90% by using AI. So we should use AI to govern AI in a way, like you said, Scott, self-healing as well.
I think, I saw a demo Planner again every time I see someone in the team. Shout out to Karthik and the team who demoed Planner the other day for a partner. It's fantastic, right? Like his AI creating a business process by a whole bunch of inputs, data, what do you want the UI to look like, all this kind of stuff, and it just goes and creates an app. So I think this is, the toolkit and the center of excellence stuff is going to be even more important as we not only create just like autonomous agents, but we're also creating apps and everything to go along with it. It becomes really big. I think in customer landscape, though, I don't think we're thinking big enough. I think that we're going to step into a world where we'll have a chief AI officer and we'll have a whole team under that person. You'll need, like what we have for Power Apps today, you might need 3 or 4 people like continuously monitoring and building. It's
100%. Almost like an AI advisory team or something like that.
I think that's where we're going to go.
Function. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I also think we're going to have agents for governance and stuff like that. There'll be governance agents that an organization will build for themselves across their existing agent stack that'll make alerts and all this kind of stuff. But Bert, I think I cut you off there. So if you could go back to your point.
I was going to say like 1000%, and I want to lead into something which I get a lot of customer questions on as well. It's like a lot of them ask them like we all see this future, we all think it's amazing, but Microsoft's going to give us these features and tools, right, to control it. And the answer I always give is yes, we're going to innovate, and we are innovating at an insane speed. It's really hard to keep up, but at the same time, it takes us time to land features. Like if it's simple things like control who can do what, we have it at the product level, but now we need it at the platform level. And customers always ask me like, I can just wait 3 to 6 months then for Microsoft to release that, and then we'll start on this journey. And I tell them, well, if you wait 3 to 6 months, this entire thing will have changed again. You need to act today to prioritize which things do you want to start doing already. And yes, you're probably going to have to implement some workarounds and things in the middle until we release those features. But you cannot just sit there and wait for the vendor to release everything. You have to act today. And that central AI work is 1000% what they need. And they need to bring those existing center of excellence in that org. So it's not net new people, but it's reusing those people and their expertise. The most mature customers I work with today are those customers who had a mature Power Platform center of excellence, and they can reuse 70% of it just at a different level. But I would never advise a customer to wait. I remember Ryan Cunningham being with us in Belgium on one of the AI tools, and someone asked the question like, shouldn't we just wait 6 months? I think it was around SAP and Power Platform. And he gave the answer like, in 6 months, people might be on the moon. So
it's moving fast.
The pace of innovation. You have to stay on top as a customer and invest in this yourself. You cannot just wait.
But even Microsoft had that challenge. We had Julie Strauss on a month or 2 ago, and that was during the life cycle of Project Sophia, and that was when AI was going through this rapid change. You know what I mean? Like probably the biggest rate of knots change when it comes to building their own product and know models and things are changing by the thing. And she just, the way she described it, just embrace it and just keep going and moving on and challenging and changing the narrative and all of that kind of stuff. And I agree. Organizations that don't act now, they're just going to be left behind by their competitors, and their competitors are going to have a competitive advantage and all of those types of things. So you just got to act now and just kind of roll with the punches almost, and then start to just keep going, yeah? And fail fast, yeah? Keep going, keep moving on, govern, all of that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to left behind. This technology is moving so fast, and we're all in technology and we think it's moving fast. Imagine people that aren't as sort of clued up or glued up to the products that we are. And I still pinch myself every day at some of the stuff that comes out and all that kind of stuff. It's super exciting, but again, we all need to start acting and moving now. Otherwise, we are going to get left in the awake. So yeah.
Two things come to mind when you mention that. I mean, one particular piece when we interviewed Julie on the show was she said that they were writing things that the language model couldn't do in code, and then another language model would drop and it would fix that. And she said she felt great because it kind of, it justified why they needed it in the product, but also that's how quick it's innovating, right? Like they write something 2 months later, it's fixed. Models are dropping all the time. So that's really interesting. And I think the other thing is customer zero with Jen. The fact that we'd already gone through the journey of digitization and going for the Power Platform ahead of time, which many of our enterprise customers have done today, allowed them to just kind of adopt AI very, very quickly. And I think that's where we're at right now. And I think certainly if you're not a regulated industry, you should be failing fast every day of the week because, you should be able to just go in there and just build agents and go crazy, right, with the right guardrails in play. And if you've got the Power Platform COE and everything developed already, you've already got a muscle, like you said, but 70% of the work's kind of done there. So, I think we're going to see the investment in the platform that our customers have made. They're really going to see the benefits now more than ever. And, the big shift is the natural language thing. That is the big thing, because with Power, we always said, hey, citizen development, as much as all my banking customers hated that. It was like citizen development. You could go build it. Anyone could build an app, right? Easy. And then you open up the UI, start building and go, now I need to understand JSON because I just can't get, or
drag and drop.
Why isn't this working? I'll go, and there was no Copilot, so I'll go to YouTube, and it was slightly different because every Power app's different, right? So it wasn't so easy to build a Power app, but as much as what we said it was. But this natural language stuff, it is a game changer, right? Like it is. It is a lot easier. I was shocked at how easy it is to build an agent now.
And so we, I wouldn't say we really lied back then, but what I do feel it was harder to create these kind of apps. But at the same time, if you see the amount of organizations which really changed their entire IT landscape with no code or low code, it's huge. And then if you say with natural language, you can do these things a lot faster. It's just going to accelerate times 10 at least. So the impact is a lot bigger.
Yeah, well, I think it's the scaling laws, right? Like this is the unknown with Power Apps. It was kind of we were working on Moore's law, right? Which is it kind of, what is it, every 12 to 18 months we see a kind of a doubling. Scaling laws is every 6 months a 10x increase. I think it's probably every year now. It's probably gone out a bit. But, that is really, that pace of innovation is what's really, really interesting. And, it really clicked for me. Like I was listening to, I think it was Satya or Bill Gates, one of them presents at one point around these scaling laws. I think it was Satya in Seattle, actually. And he was talking like, if you think about when Windows was developed originally, it was kind of an assumption that they knew that the way that, Moore's law worked, that what they put into the Windows operating system would be performant in maybe 6 or 12 months, or maybe what they wanted to do in 6 or 12 months would work, or maybe 2 years. So there was kind of this predictability around the compute and how they would go and build. It was something I never really thought about before, right? And then bear with me, I'll tell you where this is going. So I had this comment yesterday. So I had this comment yesterday by a salesperson, which was, the agents aren't really there yet, right? They're probably 80% of the way there, and but they can do a few tasks well, but really complex tasks and multitasking probably not. And my response back was, you're making a big assumption that what we have today isn't 10x better in 12 months' time. And what we have today is pretty good. It's not perfect. There is hallucinations, and I'm not going to lie, right? Like there's times where you look at it and go, it's not quite right. But if you factor in scaling laws, by 26, 27, we're going to have agents doing ridiculous things.
Yeah.
If that plays out. So I think that's where the excitement kicks in. That's the piece that you go, geez, we need to get on it now.
Yeah. The same comment like I made earlier, like you have customers saying, then we just wait until 26, 27. It's going to be game over. You need to really get on this train and start moving and getting that experience and changing things. Because if you wait, the world's going to entirely change by then, most likely. Yeah. I do have a fun question. I asked the customer the other day as well. Like which industries do you think won't be impacted by agents? And I'm putting you guys on the spot here. We didn't prep this, but is there an industry which you see which wouldn't be impacted by agents and agentic AI?
I wish I had a bigger vocabulary to kind of come up with a word for what I'm about to tell you, because I've actually been doing some deep thinking about this as well, right? So I think, and that probably is a word, someone can message me on LinkedIn what this word is, but I think there's going to be a whole bunch of industries that don't get impacted with AI. The value is going to dramatically rise. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Hairdressing. So my wife wants to be a hairdresser. She's studying. She's going to do it in a salon, right? If a whole bunch of knowledge-based workers don't have a job anymore, we have to go back to the jobs that AI is not going to impact. And unless Optimus comes out in a week and it can do hairdressing.
I was about to call you out on that, the Optimus robots and all that.
Right.
I'd be getting a fresh fade from my Optimus robot, and be like, here we go, get the clippers out.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust AI to do that, actually.
No, you would never trust a robot with scissors, right? Fair to say that something's always going to be done by humans. So fair to say then that industry will be very, very popular. And I think, so I guess my point is there's going to be industries out there that AI doesn't impact at all. And as we kind of equal out the impacted industries by AI and the automation and things like that, these other industries are going to go up in value. They have to, right? Because all of a sudden scarcity, you've got a whole bunch of people wanting to do it. I think, some government departments will be really slow to adopt AI as well, equally. Legislation, all of these kind of handbrakes that we have today. But I think at the end of the day, if we look back 10 years from now, there'll be industries that not even touched by AI, wouldn't even know what's happened around them, in that industry. And there'll be other industries that are just completely not non-existent anymore. You'd be sitting there thinking, why do we do that anymore? The same reason you go, why wouldn't you add up on a calculator today?
Good answer, Scott.
That's what I think. I think it's going to be really stark, the difference. So anyway, what's your thoughts about it?
I agree with Scott if you're asking for my answer. So something similar to that. Obviously mining, people mining into the tunnels, all of that kind of stuff in the mines, they're not going to be too impacted. Obviously mining people back at front of house jobs or office jobs and stuff like that, they're going to obviously have efficiencies. But I'm going to flip the question, and I'm going to pick on you, Bert. What industry is going to be the most impacted by AI? And it could be in a positive way. It could be. I'm going to answer for you, yeah. But what industry would be impacted the most in a positive light? Yeah.
I think I'm going to partly answer your question, which is always a safe thing to do. I've been a consultant for a long time. Like a conversation we have, and Scott made a short reference to it as well, is around people being worried that AI will impact their jobs, right? And I always advise customers yes, obviously people will realize that if they're doing a repetitive job, I'll pick on my wife again. We really can't send her the link.
Is she in the house? Or is she in the house? Or we kicked her out before? Is that right? I'm going to call you next time and hopefully put it on loudspeaker. Bert was bagging you out.
Yeah, so my wife works in a hospital in a pathology lab.
Or health. I would have went with health as well.
Yeah. What she does is they check cells for cancer, and it's quite repetitive. They get a sample, they check it goes to the doctor, and it goes through the chain. Now, I've been telling her years now. Like, hey, this is probably not going to be around forever. There's going to be a machine which does this. I mean, it's still there. She still has a job, and I still keep telling her. But I think what this AI thing gives employees the opportunity as well is to jump on this transformation train, where you can move people from this worry of AI is going to take your job. And I saw a stat the other day that only 16% of employees are using AI today. You can actually become part of this citizen development train. You can say, like, let me be the innovator here and see how we can use AI to make this better. And you go from doing a repetitive task into doing AI transformation. And even with Power Platform, we had these amazing stories where people entirely changed their careers and became community leaders in the company of a COE team from a standard job. And I think that is the message we need to bring to people. And yes, health is actually the short answer. But I think, bring that vision to employees is a really key one. And that's always what I advise customers as well.
I think you've only got to go back in time.
Well, that's twofold.
But I think you only need to go back in time to phone exchanges, right? Let's, if you go back 150 years or 100 years, I don't know the exact time frame, there was people sitting there plugging a phone exchange, right? Plugging phones in, right? And then the mobile phone, the phones, everything got created, automated exchanges. We no longer pay people to do that. But we've created millions of jobs by the invention of the mobile phone. So you'd have to say, like in every tech boom, AI will create millions of jobs. But if your job is a very repetitive task where you're doing anything that's mathematical related, or you're moving one thing to another, that you'd have to say that AI could probably do that in 2 years or a year. That's probably
but it's
where
also twofold. It's also in the health example, but it's actually an extremely positive thing. It's actually going to save people lives by being more accurate, being able to predict all of these 100%. Things and all of that kind of stuff. Whilst there may be a downturn in a slight negative, there's an extreme positive with AI in this space. It's going to save millions and millions and millions of lives, most likely, which is insane. It's incredible. But that is kind of that double-edged sword. It's kind of as a positive, but also, like you say, a negative. And then maybe get Mrs. Wijns on some Copilot Studio stuff pretty soon. But getting some AI-based applications.
I believe health is I think Microsoft's right on the money with the Copilot and health. Like the day that a nurse can hit a button and 10 agents go out and automatically do diagnosis or go and order medicine or order scans, so we don't have to wait on human-to-human contact to do that, which, if anyone's been through the health system right now, like sometimes you can wait weeks for things to happen, right, as they shuffle paperwork and book appointments and do all that sort of stuff. If we've got all that done with agents, that's a positive, I reckon. So, and they're already under strain with resource, right? So how can we... So that's a great one, but I think, definitely health is going to get transformed with AI. So I think you're wrong, Matt, with mining, though. Like, they've been automating their trucks for years. They've got autonomous trucks everywhere.
I've met more the people in the...
Optimus is going to walk in there and just start chipping away at rock.
I'm sticking up for my mates. I have a lot of mates in Perth that do FIFO, all right? So there are a lot of other listeners on the podcast. I'm trying to, not scare them, all right? Every time I say this AI stuff, they have no idea what I do for a job, by the way. I try and talk to them about AI. They're full tradies, right? They got no idea what I do. Yeah, potentially they're right. A lot of the trucks and stuff will be automated, but the actual human element and all that kind of stuff potentially obviously might change. So yeah.
I'll tell you what, looking at the new robotics that's launched by a few companies in the last week is unbelievable. Like 2 robots talking to each other, passing fruit around. They recognize it's fruit. I know they put it in the fruit. Yeah, really, really good. So, I would say robotics is probably going to be in the next 2 or 3 years, as the language models get smarter and smarter, one of the biggest beneficiaries. And then I was sitting there thinking, again, it's a bit like health, but aged care, like putting a robot that can even just sit down and have a conversation and really connect with someone over an afternoon, would be highly valuable to a lot of people that are lonely and things like this. So, I think there's that's another industry that people could get into that would absolutely be booming over the next few years, I think. So, yeah. So Bert, back onto the key topic for the day, which is governance. If you had to if you had to, I guess, give some advice to any of our customers that are listening right now, what would be the number one thing that they need to go and do right now around governance, and if they haven't stepped down that path?
Yeah, I think I'll pick two things. Like one is don't wait. Don't wait. Like don't wait for any software vendor to come up with a solution. Act today, and get started with this. I think is a big one. And the second big one is really look at that citizen development piece on how you can scale AI from having a set of AI use cases today into hundreds and thousands over the coming years. So that's going to create an entire wave of innovation for your company. I think those two is what I would say prioritize there. And then, yes, you're going to have to set up a lot of controls around it. And we're going to help you with it. But yeah, like prioritize those two, I would say.
So the good news is Microsoft's releasing a COE to be able to support this, right, over the next couple of months. So it's something that everyone can kind of look out for, and we can assist in getting that rolled out and educating our customers about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any final questions for Bert, Matt, before we kind of wrap it up?
But Bert, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I always love our chats and always catching up with you as well. I'm sure hopefully I'll see you at PPC this year again, hopefully. Hopefully Microsoft get you a ticket for that one as well. It's always good to talk AI and strategy with a lot of our customers and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, looking forward to connecting on some of this AI COE stuff. It's a big sort of push that I'm looking at. And like I said, a lot of interest in the market, especially considering what we spoke about today. Yeah, organizations need to move quick. They need to obviously create environments for their end users to innovate. And do it now. Don't wait, yeah? Otherwise, you're going to get left behind by the competition. But I'm sure you'll be back on Power Time soon, because I'll drag you and guilt trip you until you do come on. But you're a friend of the show for life. So thank you again for coming on, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And it's the rest of an evening now for me and Scott. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bert, for coming
awesome.
on. And I'll try to endeavour to get a demo of this COE in the coming months, and we'll put it on our YouTube channel so people can have a look at it when it's public.
Absolutely. I mean, thanks for having me. I think it's always amazing to be on here and give our topics a bit of visibility. I'm just hoping you did hit record this time, Matt, so we don't have to do it over again. But no, thanks for having me.
We've handed the recording off to Scott. Yeah, Scott does all the recording now.
I had to take over that little job. Yeah,
I've been demoted to just having jokes on Power Time. That's all I bring to the table is good banter. So that's my role on the show, and Scott's the brains behind it all. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cool.
We're grateful to have you with us. From both Matt and Scott, we appreciate your time and curiosity. Just a reminder, the views and opinions shared here are our own and do not represent those of Microsoft or GetEye. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it on LinkedIn, follow and listen in on TikTok, or join our Substack for more insights and behind-the-scenes content. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep sharing your power.